When we were kids, the world was simple. 1 + 1, 2. The hero always had just one leading lady. In movies and fairy tales and those pocketbooks sold on street corners, the story was always the same. One-on-one, one guy, one girl, then a happy ending. This is what they call monogamy. Sounds nice, right? Like a perfect formula. But as you get older, you realize that life isn't a math problem with only one right answer. Not all stories follow the same script. And that's where words that might sound complicated but happen in real life come in. There are concepts that seem like they're from another planet, but they're right here. For example, bigamy. This is the slightly illegal version where you're married to one person, then you marry another without the law or your first spouse knowing. It's like double booking at the cinema, but what's involved are hearts and last names. Then there's polygamy, which is acceptable in some cultures. This is having many spouses or partners at the same time, and everyone knows about it. This isn't a secret affair, it's an open agreement. It's like a group project at school, but instead of a thesis, you're building a family or a relationship. Love should be simple, but we're the ones who make it complicated. Or maybe it's just inherently complicated and we're just trying to force it to be simple. Monogamy is like your favorite dish. It's delicious, you're used to it, and you're comfortable. But what if one day you try other dishes? Is that immediately bad? Or maybe you just discovered that your taste is broader than you thought. Love is like a buffet. Some people are content with one plate of rice and adobo. Others want to try everything, from appetizers to dessert. This isn't to say that monogamy is wrong. For many, it's the happiest and most fulfilling setup. The point is, it's not the only right path for everyone. Thinking there's only one template for love is like trying to fit into shoes that aren't meant for you. It hurts, it gives you blisters, and in the end, you're the one who gets hurt. Understanding different types of relationships isn't endorsing cheating. It's opening your mind to the idea that love comes in different forms, colors, and numbers. And the most important thing in all of this is where you are truly happy and true to yourself. I still remember my first, the one. She was it. She was for life. That's what I told myself while holding her hand and eating fish balls on the street corner. I thought we were the stars of our own movie. Monogamy, that was the plan. One house, one dog, and one family together until old age. Simple, right? But like many movies, there was a plot twist. The day came when the script suddenly changed. The sweet "I love you" became forced. The tight hug loosened. And one day, it was over. The story ended. A breakup is like pulling off a band-aid from a wound that hasn't healed yet. Whether slow or fast, it still hurts. At first you'll be angry. You'll think of all their flaws. Why did they do that? What did I lack? You're like a broken record playing the most painful part of the song over and over. I tried to move on. Deleted pictures, blocked on social media, threw away things they gave me. I thought it would be that easy. But memories aren't like files on a computer that you can just delete. They stay in your mind, in your heart, and sometimes in the smell of perfume that you suddenly remember inside the mall. Moving on isn't a race. There's no prize for the fastest. It's a process. A long journey with days when you're okay, and days when you're back to square one. I used to think the solution was to find someone else right away, a rebound. But I learned that it's like building a new house on land that's still crumbling. Before you can move on to the next chapter, you need to properly close the previous one. You need to accept that it's truly over. That no matter how much you want to go back to those pages, the ending of that story won't change. The hardest part is accepting that the decision isn't just yours. In a relationship, there are two of you. And if one has let go, you can't force them to hold on just so you won't get hurt. Love isn't forced. Staying should be a free choice, not an obligation. Their leaving is their decision. Accepting and healing is your decision. And that's where true moving on begins. When you understand that your happiness isn't tied to another person staying in your life. It's in your hands. There are three things we often mix up when we're hurting: jealousy, not moving on, and true love. Jealousy, for me, is fear. Fear that someone better will come along. Fear that you might be replaced. It's that feeling like a big dog barking in your chest every time someone else gets close to the person you love. That's normal, but when it's too much, it becomes poison. Jealousy is about your insecurity, not always about what your partner is doing. It's a symptom, not the disease itself. And often the disease is a lack of self-confidence. Not moving on, that's different, that's being stuck. You're like being in a room that you know you need to leave, but you don't want to open the door. You keep revisiting memories, the what ifs, the I wish I hads, You get sentimental, listening to sad songs, looking at old pictures, hoping some magic will happen and everything will go back to how it was. Not moving on is holding on to a ghost. You're hugging something that isn't really there anymore. It's painful, exhausting, and leads nowhere. True moving on, or letting go, doesn't mean you've forgotten them. It doesn't mean you don't care anymore. For me, true moving on is when you can remember the past without pain. When you see them happy with someone else, and what you feel isn't anger or bitterness, but a simple, good for them. It's when their happiness is no longer a threat to your happiness. When you can look at your story together as a chapter that taught you many lessons instead of a tragedy that ruined your life. I've learned that love, in its purest form, is liberating. If you love someone, you'll want their happiness, even if you're no longer with them on the journey. Easy to say, hard to do, but possible. Letting go isn't turning your back on love, it's embracing a broader version of it. It's understanding that people come into our lives for a reason, sometimes to stay, often to teach a lesson. And when the lesson is over, you need to be grateful and move on to the next class. After all the pain, confusion, and searching, I discovered one important thing. Not all relationships are built to last. Some are like summer vacations, fun, full of memories, but they have an end. And that's okay. From being a die-hard fan of monogamy, my mind slowly opened up. I realized that forcing a one-on-one relationship that's clearly broken is like wearing wet socks. It's uncomfortable, it stinks, and you'll just get sick. Sometimes it's healthier to admit that you're no longer compatible and look for a different setup. This is where the idea of an open relationship or polygamy came to my mind. Not for everyone, but for some, it's the solution. This isn't about lust or lack of commitment. It's about radical honesty. It's admitting to yourself and your partner that love isn't a limited resource, that you can love more than one person without diminishing your love for each one. The key here is consent and respect. Everyone must know, everyone must agree. No secrets, no cheating. It's an agreement built on trust, not jealousy. Choosing this path, or any path different from the norm, requires deep self-knowledge. You need to ask yourself, what do I really want? What can I give? What are my boundaries? Self-love should always be the foundation. Before you enter any relationship, whether monogamous or polygamous, make sure you are whole first, because no one else can complete you. They can only join you in building a beautiful story, but the star, the writer, and the director of your life are you. In the end, the most important lesson I've learned is this: there's no right or wrong type of relationship, as long as it's based on respect, honesty, and the true happiness of everyone involved. Don't be afraid to write your own story, even if it's different from what you read in books or see in movies. Prioritize your own peace and happiness. If you're happy in monogamy, stay there. If you think you'll grow more in an open relationship, explore that with caution and respect. What matters at the end of the day is that you can say you chose a life and love that are true for you, because the sweetest happy ending is the one you wrote yourself.